Everglades. You know, if you shine a bright light right there, right now, you're going to see, well, at night, you'll see like 50 different sets of little eyeballs looking right back at you. Those would be Florida alligators. Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. Gina. Thanks for joining us. Time now for today's health news. Yes, I do swim there, David Brody. I can hear you making fun of me right now. I do swim there. I mean, I don't like all the time or anything, but just sometimes. This particular block is sponsored by the Wellness Company, and under the microscope today, Wellness Company does not advocate swimming with alligators. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. expected to recommend eating more saturated fats. Honestly, 10 years ago, that would have sounded just as crazy as saying swim with alligators. It's healthy for you. Not advocating that. That's a joke, just so everyone gets it. One of the main points of the MAHA movement is limits on ultra-processed foods. And RFK says he basically does the carnivore diet, which is eating mainly meat, poultry, eggs, fish, and dairy products. RFK says this diet has changed his life. Previous guidance on saturated fats called to limit their consumption due to an alleged higher risk of heart disease. Lots of us who've been studying this have known this for a long time. You couldn't say it if you even posted it. You would be censored and taken down and shadow banned and defunded and all the rest of the things. It's just really nice to have a new administration in Washington, D.C. that has brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. The reality, though, there's only so much government can do. So if we want to really make America healthy again, it's going to start at home with each of us, and that is where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from their doctors all the time on this network. You know their products are the gold standard when it comes to keeping you safe and healthy. The Wellness Company makes sure you're prepared for what happens with their series of prescription med kits. These kits have an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist in the proper use of the meds in the kits. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss, so much more that can help you stay healthy and live a longer, more satisfying life. Make America healthy again starts at home, you guys. Do your part, protect the health of yourself and your family. Go to twc.health/RAV today, give it an order. That's twc.health/RAV. Use the promo code RAV, that'll save you 10%. Over to T-Man. Very healthy.
Can we talk more about this? Can we talk more about this swimming with gators, Dr. Gina? Like, this is an interesting concept to me.
I know. I'm not advocating it. I'm just saying that when I go, I like to, you know, I'm from the Ozark Mountains. I like to camp down, up as it is for me, in some of the areas where there are Everglades. And there are these great rope swings that go off of the only thing we have that kind of resembles a hill in Florida. And I like to off of the riverbanks and go into the water. And people think I'm crazy, but I can't be the only one, or someone wouldn't take the time to hang the rope swings. That's my theory on that. I don't take my small dogs.
It just means you're not the only crazy person, Dr. Gina. I'm sorry. It just means you're not the only crazy person. That's just my 2 cents. All right, Dr. Gina, stick around because we want to talk about the Joe Biden Autopen scandal. The House Oversight Committee released its report on Joe Biden's Autopen use and said that some of the orders were, quote, invalid. Committee Chairman James Comer calling on the Justice Department now to investigate. The committee conducted this investigation over 3 months and included interviews with some of Joe Biden's senior aides. For more, let's bring in the managing editor of the Daily Signal and author of the book The Woke-topus, The Dark Money Cabal Manipulating the Federal Government, Tyler O'Neill. Tyler, always good to see you, my friend. Dr. Gina also joined the conversation. I do want to get to the Autopen thing, but in the break, we were talking about this government shutdown, and you were saying finally the American public gets to see who really is behind all of this, and it's Chuck Schumer. I'd like you to expound on that because I think it's a very good point that we can't continue to drill down on enough.
Yes. I mean, what we've seen in the last few weeks is Republicans bringing up clean CR after clean CR after clean CR, and they want to fund the government at Biden levels. I mean, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of funding the government at Biden levels. I think we need to fund it less than that, but the Republicans have been very consistent. This is our stance, and they've all voted for it. And yet it's only been the Senate Democrats who are holding this up. You need 60 votes in the Senate. If you would think anybody wanted to fund the government at Biden levels, it would be the Democrats. But no, instead, they want changes. They want the big, beautiful bill amended so that illegal aliens can still be eligible for some government benefits. And no, that is not just an empty talking point. It's rooted in the text of the Democrats' alternative bill itself. So this shutdown, the Democrats completely own it. They keep saying, oh, Republicans are in power, therefore Republicans are to blame. No, I think the American people are smarter than that. We know that you need 60 votes in the Senate, and the Democrats are the ones who've been holding this up.
Dr. Gina and Tyler, I'm surprised the Democrats haven't tried to at least sign something with an Autopen, which brings us to Joe Biden. Obviously, there is the crisis surrounding the Autopen, the investigation that I alluded to just a little while ago, and the idea that some of Joe Biden's policies that were signed by that Autopen are not valid and would be reversed. How would that potentially work, reversing some of those Autopen signatures and policies put into place as a result?
Well, I think what you would have to do is prove that there was this gap between President Biden's intentions and the actual policy. And, President Biden himself gave us that gap when he told the New York Times that he said to his staff, hey, you should compile a list of people who should get pardoned, and then we'll mass pardon them. And it really matters based on the president's decision. The president is the one who has this authority. So ultimately, I'm not sure how the legal contestation is going to go. The main thing that comes out of this report, though, is just reminding the American people of what happened in this last administration. You had an administration that was so desperate to prop up a man who we all rightly had concerns about his mental acuity. And they decided to prop him up, lie on his behalf. So much of the legacy media continued to carry water for this nonsense idea that Biden didn't have any problems. And meanwhile, the left, as I mentioned in my book, was going ramrod through the federal government, using the administrative state to push its woke agenda on the American people. And many times it was as if the president was a cipher for this vast left-wing agenda that they were pushing through the government. And you had these NGOs that were effectively calling the shots in the Biden administration. Now they're gearing up to oppose Trump, and we have to constantly remain vigilant. President Trump did a lot of good work with DOJ in starting to address the problem, but it's an ongoing issue, this rot in the administrative state. And that is really what this Autopen scandal puts an underline under.
Yeah, and your book is such an important book. I actually keep it in my guest area. You gave it to me. I keep it in my guest area. And one of the things, so that others can read it while they're at my house, but one of the things you write about is the climate change lie. And Bill Gates is now shifting his tune on the climate change, as lots of these myths and motivations that Democrats have used for years to monetize their movement are being busted. Gates is now saying scientific innovation will curb any threats to climate change and that it is not going to lead to humanity's demise anymore. But Hollywood isn't catching up, Tyler. I watched some movies on the planes this weekend, and so many of them are based on, a post-apocalyptic view of climate change going full bore because of Donald Trump. What do you make of this?
Well, I think Hollywood hasn't caught up yet because Bill Gates just made this decision. Bill Gates is one of the massive funders who, used to prop up, and thank God he's separated himself from the Arabella Advisors network of nonprofits that use Arabella Advisors as a company. But they are, this vast woke apparatus pushing climate alarmism is going to get really spooked now because, and this is the sort of thing I could not almost have prayed for this. I mean, Bill Gates seems to be seeing the light on climate alarmism. And, this is baby steps, but at the same time, this is a massive sea change from his own book pushing climate alarmism. And let's be clear about this. The science is not settled, much less settled in the position that the left says it is. If you actually look at the 97% statistic, it's been debunked over and over again. And the people whose scientific papers were cited in that study have said that this is a bad misuse of their study. And if you look at the data, it really doesn't stand up to criticism. What we know for sure is that the global climate system is not something we can pinpoint exactly what carbon emissions led to or didn't lead to. It stands to reason that there might be some impact, but we don't know the impact because the climate alarmists over and over again have these massive predictions, and the massive predictions always end up coming false. So what we do know is that we should be trying to take a good care of our planet. But we also know that that climate alarmism is a bunch of smoke, and it's important for us to push through it to say, no, the main solution here to any climate problems is increasing prosperity for everyone. And I'm really glad to see Bill Gates saying he wants to make people wealthier in other parts of the world that are less likely, less able to deal with these disasters, because that's the way we solve these disasters. And by the way, deaths from climate disaster have plummeted in the last 100 years.
Yeah, and if you look at the real countries, the real violators of this are not America. We're at the very bottom of the pile, even if you just count the measures that the Democrats give. Tyler O'Neill, thank you so much for your time and all your great work. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks.
Coming up, squad member AOC back in the news defending socialism as sane. That's crazy. How is this going over? We're going to talk about it next here on American Sunrise. Don't go away.